that come and let's discuss this matter.
My challenge, Dr. Lebeya, is DPCI loses 541 kilograms of cocaine. And you send General Musikidi to assist with the investigation. And she recommends to you that a senior functionary be appointed by you to lead an investigation to establish whether DPCI members have committed misconduct. It's as simple as that. That's the recommendation to you. And you say, let's have a meeting. But if the meeting does not happen, nothing is going to happen to the DPCI members. There's not even going to be an investigation to determine whether they were negligent or grossly negligent, or if they did in fact steal the cocaine. So,
If the investigation was to be done to the rest of the members, Commissioner, up to the brigadier level, it would take place there in the province. It will be done by the provincial head.
no, but the directive has to come from you, because if the provincial head is implicated, he cannot investigate himself and his team. If he's the one who made decisions, and you say now he must initiate the investigation, what interest would he have in initiating an investigation where he was the decision maker? That's why the recommendation is to you as the national head to initiate the process.
I'm not sure, Commissioner, if where the Commissioner is reading that the provincial head is implicated, because in other paragraph it is the provincial head who must be providing progress reports.
No, but I think the debate with you now is you have instructed an investigation. You sent somebody to go and investigate. They come back to you with a report. And the first paragraph in that report says, you appoint a functionary to investigate that, and then it just dies there. All you do in that report is you say, let's discuss, and that's the end of the matter, when in fact, your functionary that you sent comes back to you with a report and says, you should appoint somebody. I think that's the discussion that is being had with you.
Yeah. I think that if we only separate that paragraph and deal with it separately, it would appear that nothing was being done. But here there are other paragraphs, including the continuous investigation, to determine what have actually happened. With regard to the discipline, if I have to appoint, it will mean that the provincial head is involved. And this discussion shall have indicated if the provincial head is suspected to be involved, then that is when I will issue those directive notices.
You would only know, Doctor, whether the provincial head was implicated in wrongdoing if you had instituted recommendation 6.1, which was the appointment of someone at the level of a major general to lead an investigation to establish whether misconduct was committed. At that stage, I don't understand that to be actually a disciplinary process. It's just to investigate, does it look like misconduct was committed here? And once that person comes back to you with a report, is then that you will see whether, amongst others, the provincial head is also implicated in wrongdoing in the form of misconduct. So maybe let me ask this question. Did you reject recommendation 6.1 or did you accept it?
I did not reject 6.1 as I directed the author to come and discuss. In terms of application of the regulation, my understanding has been that to initiate an investigation, you must identify the person against whom the investigation is conducted.
That was going to be identified by the person at the level of a major general whom you would have appointed. That's the person who would identify all the people that that person thought had committed misconduct. That's the person who would do the identification. Or are you reading this differently? If so, on what basis are you reading it differently? Just look at 6.1 as I'm engaging you and tell me why it does not mean what I've just said to you.
My reading is that we are applying regulation 8 of the discipline regulation, and it have got a starting point. Where does one appoint? I have not seen anywhere where we'll appoint a commissioner, a person and say, come and investigate departmental matter. We don't know who is implicated. Who do you give notice that there is this investigation? What I know is that we will investigate criminal leg of this. When evidence become available that indicate wrongdoing departmentally, then we can go into that other one. Now that we have identified wrongdoers departmentally, you can institute a departmental investigation.
So in your own mind, how would the wrongdoers be identified ultimately, if there were any? How would they be identified? Apologies that we appear to be probing at this stage. I guess, yeah, it was a simple question when it was asked of you by Commissioner Khumalo. But then follow-up questions became necessary. How would wrongdoers be identified?
In some statements,
Short of just throwing up your hands in the air and basically doing nothing about this.
yeah. For me, when you put the investigation team criminally to investigate that, they will unearth what have actually transpired. If the members of the DPCI are found to be involved, those reports will trigger the initiation of departmental. Normally, even if it is the criminal investigation is handled at another unit outside the works, the moment they identify the possibility of departmental contravention, they will report to the immediate supervisor of those members to consider departmental investigation.
Last question from me on this. So do I understand you to say that recommendation 6.1 was legally incompetent?
No, I do not say that it was incompetent.
If it was legally competent, then I still don't understand why you did not implement it. Anyway, that's, as I said, that's the last question.
I think we will come back to it because I know Advocate Ngube has her own way of dealing with it. But for now, the simple question was really, did you do anything about this? And the answer is you did not, because General Musikidi never had the meeting with you.
I will accept that one.
Thank you. Can I just clarify? The General Musikidi report, did it not have names of people that were involved with the operation and the handling and the decisions about storage? Did it not have those kind of details?
I do not recall the nitty-gritties of the content of what it all mentioned, but it did not suggest as to who should we investigate in this disciplinary process.
Yeah, let me interrupt you, sorry. I accept when you say it did not say who should be. in the disciplinary investigation. I was just asking whether she reported back to you in this report that so-and-so was in the operation, so-and-so was made the decision or authorized the decision to handle these goods, so-and-so authorized the decision to store them in Port Shepstone. I'm asking that kind of a simple question.
I can't recall the nitty-gritties in the report, but the members who performed several activities shall have been included.
Thank you, General.
I'm certain Ms. Sigels-Ncube will probably, at the stage of probing you, General or Doctor, will take us through that report and show us how, if at all, there were shortcomings in it insofar as, for example, issues of identifying possible culprits.
Thank you, Chair. General, you then deal with the remainder of that topic. You deal with the issues of security at the premises and the DPCI premises in general. But if I understood your evidence, you say you weren't aware that the drugs were even stored at Port Shepstone until they were stolen.
Yeah, that is what I can't recall.
So the purpose of putting this in your statement is really to highlight to the commissioners that security was an issue at the DPCI offices generally and that audits were conducted.
Yes, it is correct, Commissioners.
Okay. And you mentioned that on page 32, paragraph 101, that the recommendations to audit is an exercise that was already undertaken in July 2018. That recommendation is from the Mosikidi information note. You say it was already undertaken in July 2018. And was that report available at the time when General Sonona took office as the provincial head? Because this is in July 2018, if I understand your 101, and General Sonona gets appointed in August of 2020.
I don't think this is referring to a national challenge. I don't think that he shall have been informed. We don't necessarily discuss nitty-gritties, but the fact that the problem of accommodation and the like is known has been repeated in several forums. So whether you have known or not, I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you. Then on page 33, you deal with the allegations of corruption against Warrant Officer Carl Ronald Sander. And here it was really about the complaint that had been received by you on the 5th of February 2024 about Warrant Officer Sander at page 103. Can you deal with that?
Paragraph 103, I requested information kept by the DPCI to check the facts relating to Warrant Officer Carl Ronald Sander. I established that on the 5th of February 2024, at approximately 16:07, my office received an email at my official address, Lebeya SG at saps.gov.za, copied to 2 other members. The head of the executive supporting my office attended to the email at 18:26, directing it to the provincial head of the DPCI in KwaZulu-Natal for attention and feedback by the 23rd of February 2024.
Then at 104, you deal with what the email contained. We've dealt with that already in previous evidence. Can we go to 105? You say that the allegations are of a serious nature and couldn't be ignored. You then asked General Sonona to deal with it and provide feedback, correct?
That's correct, Commissioner.
And then on page 35, you received the first report regarding this issue, and you're given a inquiry number. Now, you say that the officer attended to the matter and compiled this report, which was signed by the provincial head. And you say, I read the report and remarked as follows, noted, open a file, is this member attached to the walks? But you don't say what the report stated, the first report.
Yes, I did not state what the report stated, but I attached all the reports
To your
to
statement.
my statement.
Are those all the reports that's listed at 108?
That's correct.
Okay, so we'll have a look at that when we deal with cross-examination. Then if we can go to 109, you confirm that deal with what was the second progress report, which you endorsed on the 25th of April 2024, and then there were additional charges against Warrant Officer Sanda regarding non-disclosure of business interests.
That's correct, Commissioner.
Okay. Now, did you receive any report from General Sonona or anyone regarding the initial allegations of corruption against Warrant Officer Sanda that established that there was indeed corruption?
Yeah, the report that they submitted was that they couldn't find the source of information, the person who was giving them information, so they did not confirm that allegation.
Okay. So then all that remained was the issue about non-disclosure of business interest.
That's correct.
Okay. Then if we can then deal with paragraph 111, page 36, the transfer of Warrant Officer Sanda. You would have, I don't know if you're aware of his evidence that he was transferred from SANAP to the support services, and he says it was because he was stepping on toes because of the drug bust that he was making at the time. I don't know if you heard that evidence of his.
I have heard about that evidence.
Did you have any involvement in his transfer to support services?
No.
Were you informed that he had been transferred?
No, Commissioner.
Okay, because in your statement you deal with a different transfer which never materialized, but that was for him to go outside of DPCI, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so it doesn't relate to the one where he was transferred temporarily to support services while the investigation into the corruption allegations were ongoing?
No.
In any of the reports that General Sonona had given you about that investigation, did he mention that he had moved the member away from SANAP pending the outcome of the investigation?
I don't have any report where he shall have reported that to me. What the office have provided to me, because I'm now not working in the office, there is none.
Okay. You speak in your statement about a transfer where the approval of the national head is required, so a member cannot move without your approval as the national head at the time.
That's correct, Commissioner.
But would that be the same for a temporary placement? So in this instance, Warrant Officer Sanda was transferred temporarily pending the outcome of the investigation.
No, that one is a disciplinary regulation. It's a movement in terms of disciplinary process that the provincial head can do. It's a line management. It's temporary. It's not considered transfer in terms of the transfer policy.
Yeah, okay. Then we are on page 39, which deals with another topic, the involvement in the DPCI's investigation into alleged misconduct by Advocate Andrea Johnson. And really all that was required of you here was to confirm whether you would have met with Advocate Shamila Batoy, who was the NDPP at the time, regarding the allegations that were made against Advocate Johnson by Witness O, who we identify that person as Witness O, for providing a docket to General Khan where he was a suspect, and whether you would have had a meeting with Advocate Shamila Batoy to provide her with the statement by that witness and to request from her that a prosecutor be appointed to prosecute the matter.
I did meet Advocate Batoy.
And that would have been on or before the 2nd of September.
I think it's the 2nd of
Yes,
September.
the
There is a
2nd.
date, specific date that I
In
have
your
mentioned.
diary, in your physical diary, it does, you say it does say the 2nd of
The
September.
2nd of September, yes.
Yes.
The 2nd of September.
Yes. So you did meet her, you can finish that?
Yeah, I met her and gave her the statement as requested by Colonel Rulofse and conveyed the message of the request that he needed prosecutors to assist and to also look into that officer of hers departmentally.
And I know you probably don't recall, as you say at paragraph 130, you don't recall the nitty-gritty, but is it correct that you do recall that what you would have asked her was that your members have requested that a prosecutor, a senior prosecutor, be assigned to the matter?
The purpose of that meeting was solely to go and carry over the request that the members have made. So while I do not have the exact wording that we shall have used, but was to give that statement and indicate that they request prosecutor to assist and departmental consideration of her member. So that is the two things that he wanted.
Did you, in that discussion with her, say to her that you shouldn't discuss this with Advocate Johnson, or did you just assume that common sense would dictate that she wouldn't discuss it with Advocate Johnson, who is an implicated person?
I have never dictated how to handle the matter with her personnel. In my view, if there is allegations against a member under my command, and I have got information, I can't be discussing with that member. So they have got their own rules, how they operate. I did not dictate.
It sounds as though I'm addressing what you said earlier, not now in response to the last question. It seems as though you did not yourself own what your members told you, because you say you went to Advocate Batoy and just conveyed what your members were saying and what their wishes were. And to me, it sounds as if you did not yourself necessarily see that there was substance, because if you saw that there was substance in what they were saying, you would have owned this and go there saying, this is what I have established based on what I got from my members, and here is what I propose, which would indicate that you yourself actually owned what your members have told you. Now you just say, I went to her and I told her that my members were saying and that they wished for this to happen. It sounds as if you did not own this.
It is correct, Commissioner. I don't own that one.
Is that because you saw no substance in it?
First, there was no investigation, criminal investigation. And if there was criminal investigation, it was to be registered at the station. And if it was to be registered at the station, the mandate would not have come to the DPCI, would have been handled by the detective service. And in case it was to be handled by the DPCI, if it was looked into and found that it requires DPCI, those DPCI members would have come from Gauteng, Pretoria, and not Cape Town.
Why did you take it to Advocate Patoy then? Because it sounds as if you did not yourself see substance in it. Why did you take it to Advocate Patoy?
There was a request, Commissioner, by the members that here, the member from that particular office of the DPCI, this is what the member have done. So they have requested. I couldn't find reason to refuse and say, no, I can't do this one, go and do it yourself.
Yes, Mr. Gelson.
Can I just ask, when, why did you not have what you've just described now, that there should have been a case registered, there should have been an investigation by detectives, and that list that you gave? Why did you not discuss that with Colonel Rulofse when he comes to you and says, I want this to go to the NDPP? Why don't you say to him, if you did not, why don't you say to him, what do you want her to do? Obviously to prosecute, that's why he's saying to you, get a prosecutor. That process that you say should have happened, why do you not discuss it with him at that point?
It happens when the investigators just need to hear advice from the prosecutors, and he needed that advice. If he have indicated that he wanted to register a case for the investigation, I shall have directed that go and register the matter or advise the complainant to report the matter. Because under normal circumstances, it will not have come to that team that I have assigned to work at the IDEC. And the view that they wanted to assume that anything alleged against crime intelligence they will take, I would not have agreed with that. The nature of the crime that they alleged was defeating the ends of justice. I think when the commissioners look at the mandate of the DPCI, when it comes to the portion relating to defeating the ends of justice, that defeat must emanate from a case that actually is in the mandate of the DPCI.
I understand that explanation. My question is, why at that point you don't say to him that, but this doesn't, why are you, Rulofse, even looking at this and wanting to speak to a prosecutor about it? This is a matter that belongs in this process that you have described. It's one thing to say it now, that he should have done A, B, C, D, but in the moment when he comes to you, it's a live case as far as he's concerned. But you now tell us it was mishandled, and my question is, well, at that point, he comes to you because you are his superior. He's not talking to a friend. He's talking to the head of the DPCI, who is the liaison with NDPP, because he won't, I assume he can't go directly to Advocate Patoy. That's why he's coming through you. But now that you know, at that time, in the moment, that this is what he's dealing with, the question remains, at that point, why don't you engage him in the way that you're describing now, so that the matter could be redirected where it should have gone?
Colonel Rulofse is a senior officer who has been dealing with this kind of matters. And many a case they have registered, where there is a need to register a case, they have caused that to be registered without first asking as to whether they can do this or that. In this, I understood that he is requesting that a prosecutor from the NPA can advise as to what should be done. If he have requested view from me, I would have advised that let the matter be registered at the station. And then it's either an inquiry or a docket be registered at the station. And if registered, it would not have needed the DPCI. It doesn't require the DPCI. It's not in the mandate of the DPCI. So I was facilitating to assist him with what he is requesting. That prosecutor look at what your officials are engaged in.
Thank you. Ms. Segal?
Thank you. And Colonel Rulof's concern and Captain McLean's concern was that they needed it to be a senior prosecutor, so they couldn't direct the request themselves, and that's why they came to you, so that you could speak to the NDPP, because they couldn't go directly to the NDPP, correct?
Captain McLean was not part of the discussion. He may have learned about it from Colonel Rulofs.
Yes, I'm saying when Colonel Rulofs comes to you, he's expressing a concern that because of Advocate Johnson's position as the head of IDAC, they wanted somebody, a senior prosecutor, to assist them.
Yes, to assist them in advising them of, because there was no case that they were investigating. There was no investigation that they were doing.
Yes, that's
Any
correct.
investigation would not have landed in that space where they had a specific mandate.
Yes, and that's why they then came to you. I'm agreeing with you that the request to you was a request that we don't know what to do, but we know that somebody senior needs to advise us here because of Advocate Johnson's position. It can't just go to a junior. That's why they approached you, because they wanted you as the head of DPCI to speak to the head of the NDPP, so to facilitate the appointment of a prosecutor that would be senior enough to take on the matter, whether it was to advise them or to open the case, to have a full investigation or not.
I will accept that.
Yes, thank you. Chair, that then concludes the evidence of Dr. Lebeya. We have arranged...
Concludes the statements.
The statement, yes.
Yes.
We